Hey YouTube, welcome back. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day. In today's video, we are back on board with SCUMP as we actually got to see them against another one of these top 4, top 5-ish teams. So in this one, we are going to be watching OpTic against the Minnesota ROKKR. I think most people would agree that Minnesota's somewhere in the top 4, top 5. Of course, we're going to get more information as that's a super quick flip. See where SCUMP comes up right here. They initially had bad spawn over towards P3. They flipped almost immediately, and now they have spawns on this left-hand side of the map as it's going to rotate here over towards P2, which is one of the 2 money hills on this map. But great start for them. Just to talk about the Scrim overall, this was the first map. It was Garrison. 252. I will say that this was the largest margin here. I won't say exactly what it was, but OpTic played this map extremely well. After this, they did play Raid, which was, again, super tight map, 250 to 223. Crossroads was after that, 250 to 187. Checkmate, OpTic lost. It was actually the only map that they lost. It was 219 to 250. And then they finished on Moscow with a 250-167 victory. So overall, even though it was 4-1 map count, there were, so basically outside of this map, every map was basically in a hardpoint rotation. If there's 60 points that swings one way or another, then that makes the difference in the map. So this is the only one that was a little bit of a blowout. But still, overall, pretty good scrim for both sides. I think Minnesota, last time these two teams scrimmed, Minnesota took 2 maps. It was 3-2 in favor of OpTic. This one is 4-1, but it is what it is. So after P2, OpTic obviously was able to flip that P2 initially like we talked about, which, and this is a interesting spawn. I don't love that spawn. See, P3 spawns on this map are still a little bit messed up. I understand the fact that OpTic was able to push through over towards Garage a little bit further than P4, but still, you just saw Attach was sitting here basically to the left of where SCUMP is at right now, and they were still able to get that spawn. It just seems, and there you have it. So SCUMP also died. My guess would be that he's probably the only one that died initially right there. Seems like Dashy and Formal still had the back of P3. He gets spawned out. It's one of those where it's a little bit touchy. It seems like if you're towards Garage, you're more than likely to get that back spawn than those that are camping over towards back P3. Just to make sure that we're 1,000% on exactly what's going on there, we'll just break it down again very briefly. We were over towards P2, and as the rotation went through green, and as soon as they started pushing out Garage on this top-hand side of the map, that's when SCUMP got this spawn right here. And as we were watching, I think it was Attach. Attach was right here. He was rotating over, and that's exactly when SCUMP saw him. So I just don't love the spawn logic here. This person in this area should lock down this spawn for Minnesota, regardless of how far pushed up OpTic is over here towards Garage. It looked like the closest they were was somewhere in this range. I just don't love the fact that, especially for this P3, if you're Minnesota and you have control of this P3, you should have this back area of the map until somebody from the opposite team, if they were to push through and get to this area, now I could see getting this back spawn because you've successfully pushed out the back of P3, but you shouldn't get that spawn until you at least get through that back building there. So just wanted to make sure that we were 1,000% clear on what exactly we were watching and where people were at and where they should be. Just seems to be a little bit off. It's not the end of the world. It's not as bad as some of the stuff that we saw last year, but that's one of the most egregious in that game, in this game, in terms of Black Ops Cold War. But P3 came to a close, and it's a 50-point game. Not the end of the world by any means. I do like the fact that Minnesota is sitting up in top of those power positions, and you did see SCUMP die as he tried to push out over towards P1, and that's what you have to do. You have to get these kills over towards P1, because if OpTic's able to push out over towards Catwalk and get control of those power positions, it's almost impossible to take that back. In the same way as if you're OpTic and you're trying to push through mid-map or over towards top garage, it's almost impossible to get through either of those choke points too, just because there's an area where you have to run 20, 30 yards and you're completely exposed. There's no headies or anything. So overall, nice job out of both teams. Really, it was basically a 50-point ball game at the end of P3. It was a 40-point ball game at the end of P4. So you could count that as a win for either squad. And this is where it seems like the lead's probably going to grow a little bit for OpTic. So just the fact that they are pushed out towards mid-map, they do have those back spawns, and they have hill control. This is not looking great. And this is something that you don't even really see this all that much. It does look like the spawns flipped. Perhaps Envoy and SCUMP were pushed out a little bit too far to control that hill there. But that's something that you don't see. On P5, normally this is a pretty contested hardpoint inside of P5. So the fact that they were pushed up and still getting kills around mid-map, just something that we don't see all that often. But we are about to rotate here over towards the second set of rotations here inside of P1. So with that, as OpTic tries to push out the back to gain these spawns for P2, let's go ahead. Let's listen into their team comms as we're about to rotate here towards P2.
Plat hurt.
We're still missing one bricks, I think, dude.
Plat, guys, plat.
I don't see Plat.
I'm just
Cat stairs.
Hey, time. He's gonna be hurt. Half up.
In one's Plat.
Plat major, hit him once. One's in time leak. Nice time leak.
One's under credit spot.
Dead.
Another one vent.
I'm looking under mid.
He's vent to time.
Yo, one's on me P4.
I don't see the guy low mid. Low mid. Dead. More time. I'm waiting again. One shot.
Vent, major. Vent dead.
Actually,
Let's go there.
4. No, I killed the Mar. I'm backing up.
They're gonna be on me.
Yeah, they're gonna hit him.
I'm watching mid.
One's
Yo,
Plat.
two going left on me.
Mid. Low left floating.
One's vent weak.
You play pre-set, more
No,
vent.
I'm absolute here.
Lamar top plat, two left. They might go green.
Hey, I'm coming down here, though.
You can hold back.
Yo, low mid. Got one top cap probably.
Trying to watch over you, Seth.
PSD dead.
I have
Yo, bottom left mid.
Lamar dead.
Bottom
Nice.
left.
Missing one.
Yeah, we can still push
Yo,
out.
they could start spawning in the back.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah, they
Yo,
could.
deep mid tanks attach. He's still mid
They're
tanks.
waiting for a pinch, I think, guys.
Attach to the tanks.
Quick one spawn behind us, guys.
I don't see anything.
Low
Cat's
green.
dead, cat's
One's
dead.
low trash.
Yo, one's top
Alley.
cat stairs. One's cat stairs
Yeah, we're
to
good.
lights area.
I have bricks.
One is spawner. I think one's outside small. Yeah, small.
Bricks dead.
Small.
And again, I just want to point this out here. All of a sudden, it's a 110-point lead, and it's growing. How did that happen? As it was a pretty tight ball game as it went back towards P1. As soon as it did go back towards P1, OpTic successfully chained together 2 or 3 kills as they pushed out old P5. That gave them those back spawns for P2. And from there, you saw SCUMP slaying out mid. You saw Formal trading out attached after SCUMP died. So they just pushed out P2. They were able to get time inside of P1. They basically got all of the time inside of P2. Now, if you can chain together that with a successful rotation over towards P3, now all of a sudden you're in trouble. Let's see what happens here as we come down the stretch.
Close left, yeah. Backhand's a close left, major.
Close left, one shot.
Nice. More backhands.
Absolute.
That's one far again.
Jump.
Front
I
again.
spawn here.
Let's still in the back.
Front dead.
Spawn green, guys.
Probably
Spawn green.
tools.
I'm watching left side vans.
One shot rails.
Vans in.
One shot tools and Western green. One shot tools, Western green.
They might tools up front.
I have tools.
I'm hop in the back. I rob in the back though.
I'm watching your tools.
Looking tools
He's
too.
close. Two tools. My bad.
Attach week. One's two tools. My bad, Dill. 2 tools. Another one
One more,
tools.
watch
Another
it,
one tools.
Yo, tools dead. I'm in
Right.
right.
Front, Lamar.
Nice.
Dang.
You're gonna be crossing low mid or no?
I spawn here.
Cat attached.
I'm
Top green.
watching over you.
Up green up. Yo, in new Dill.
Bricks or
Preston
vents.
hurt.
Vents weak.
All good.
Yo, he's pushing out. He's like our side trash.
Here.
One guy's vent on me, guys.
Oh, he's one
Yeah,
back.
once you know, yo, let's play that. I'm looking pot.
One was
Good,
vent.
good.
One was
Help me
vent.
pot, Dill. Close
I'm
left.
seeing Plat.
Lamar cat stairs dead. One guy close vent.
Vent,
Laying down.
close
Still
vent.
same spot. It's literally in that spot.
Slide at him. In vent dead.
Nice, I'm bottom mid.
Top green.
Research.
Up green attached, flying out. Bottom mid weak. Attach. Let's get top green. Let's go in.
Got me.
I'm getting time. Drop
Yeah,
green.
we could have flipped them. We could have flipped them.
Yeah, we
I
did.
think one's still green, one's still green, I think.
Your whole
One
time,
green
Adam.
as
Watch
well.
him.
Yeah,
I have time. Green major. I was reloading.
One
top
shot.
green.
One more.
Top
Floating.
green hill.
He's low mid. Big door. Big door.
Reloaded, bro.
Hurt.
I'm coming up green.
Back left.
Last thing that I'll point out here as this comes to a close, that I don't know if you picked up on this, but SCUMP checked his scoreboard at the end of the first set of rotations, and he was 14-14. So he went from 14-14 to turning it on down the stretch, second set of rotations, ended up 32-17, and that's the difference in the ball game. So if you guys are new around here, I put out brand new videos just like this every single day. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a like if you don't mind, as it really helps out the channel. And with that, thank you guys so much. We'll see you in tomorrow's upload.